Hello and welcome to Paper of the Week. Now it's my turn to do Paper of the Week, and I hope you like my new black shirt. They're awesome, so I'm looking good and I'm feeling good, and we're recording this just before Easter, so happy Easter. I know this is probably going to be released way after that, so happy Easter anyway. Today the idea of this paper comes from one of our staff members, Brooklyn, who you may come in contact with, and she wants me to talk about a thing called lectins. Lectins, and it's like, well, what are lectins? Well, they're found throughout food, so you're already eating them, you're on lectins already, so don't worry about that. But interestingly, there was a really good book released a number of years ago called Eat Right for Your Type by Dr. Peter D'Adamo, and he also followed up with a book called Live Right for Your Type, and this was going back 20 years. And just as disclosure, I helped write a chapter with Peter and with his Live Right for Your Type book, so I had a lot to do with him. I worked for a company that brought him out to Australia, really nice guy, very knowledgeable, very smart, and blew us all away with science. So he's the author of the blood type diet. Now, I'll get around to this paper in a second. I'll give you some preface of what lectins are. Now, there are about 4 different types of blood types, without thinking positive and negative. There's O's, most common, then there's good-looking A's, like myself, and then there's, don't laugh, this is serious stuff. Actually, I've got a joke about that. I was giving a talk on blood type diets about 20 years ago at a local university, and I thought I'd better crack a joke and say that, with the blood types, this, this, and A's have got more cortisol and more immunity, and they happen to be slightly better looking than the O's. And I thought people would laugh. No one laughed. And I think at the end of the day, I was going to sort of announce that I was joking, and of course forgot to announce that I was joking. So there's probably a whole lot of students right now that are running around thinking that A blood types are better looking than O blood types. So if you're on Tinder and someone says, they've got 6'2", full of muscles, and they're an A blood type, it's possibly my fault. But don't worry about that. There's O's, A's, B's, and ABs. Brooklyn is an AB, I found out today. I'm an A and O. So the theory goes that these 6 different blood types have slightly different physiologies in their body, and therefore should have slightly different diets. And as an evolutionary base, O's were the first to be around. They're the hunter and gatherer type people, so they have typically more meats and vegetables and 0 dairy grains sort of thing. A's, like myself, are largely agricultural, where we can tolerate small amounts of grains, have very little meat, but have chicken, fish, and all that sort of stuff, and no dairy. B's are the ones that can have a little bit of dairy, and generally a lot of meat and veggies too, not many grains because they're the nomads. And the ABs are a mixed, eclectic, new, very recent genome that's come out a few thousand years ago. So that's the blood type diet, and the foods that you eat are based on lectins. So they're saying that these lectins can be harmful for this blood type. This is where lectins come in. Now, what are lectins? Well, lectins are things that bind to carbohydrates. They're usually protein-based things, and they're found in some of the more, eclectic foods that are around. And what they do, one of the main things they do is they work as antimicrobials. And this paper, now we're getting to it, is called Lectins and Antimicrobials. So this paper is a really good one, talking about how they work as antimicrobials. So they're very, very good to binding to viruses and bacteria and being able to sort of, deactivate them, make them porous and make them die and this sort of stuff. So, Brooklyn was saying that everyone's written in and said that lectins are bad. And it's like, well, they're everywhere. They're not bad. They can be good and bad and all this sort of stuff. So it depends on the lectin. So we know from this paper that they're very antimicrobial, and they possess a lot of good therapeutic effects throughout the body. For example, I've just got one here. Kidney bean has a lectin that's demonstrated high toxic effect on certain parasitic protozoa like Trichomonas vaginalis, which of course is a sexually transmitted disease. So there are these sorts of lectins that have these effects. Another one, of course, is in cranberry that stops urinary tract infections from an E. coli infection. So there are lots of mechanisms involved with these lectins and what they do in the body. Now, of course, eating right for your blood type does have a little bit of research showing that there is a benefit in that. So, you can look into the research into that. And it's based, as I said, on these lectins. Now, basically what they do is Lectins specifically bind to certain carbohydrates expressed on viruses, bacteria and fungus. So what they do is when they bind it, they change the permeability of the microbe and therefore pull it apart. And that's why a lot of foods, it's one of the food's defense systems, are lectins. So we can consume these lectins and improve our health. Now, which lectins can you eat? You can sort of A, look up your blood type, or B, eat the food and however it feels good to you, or see a practitioner and work out which foods are best for you. I think you should be able to take care of your own health and pick the lectins that are good for you. In other words, the foods that sit very well with you, don't cause any immune reactions in your body, and they're the ones that you should try and eat a little bit more. They also have a wonderful effect of disrupting the biofilm in the microbes, so they're very, very antimicrobial and very, very interesting topic. And I think there's a lot of confusion out there about lectins, but please do your research on it, find out which lectins are best for you. Look up, Eat Right for your blood type, and you can get lists off the internet. Give it a go, see what it does for you, and hopefully it may improve your health. So in the meantime, enjoy the science and have a great day.